Dr. Steve Pieczenik, and this is Steve Talks. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. This is Dr. Steve Pieczenik with Steve Lights. That's a term that the Rutgers University students gave me, and I want to thank them for that. Today I want to thank Donald Trump and his family and the Saudi Arabians and the King of Saudi Arabia and all the princes for that wonderful, wonderful reception that President Trump, Melania, that gorgeous First Lady, and Ivanka Trump, and Jared Kushner, mind you, an Orthodox Jew, is welcomed into Saudi Arabia. Now that is a first in my life, and previously I was wrong. I said I didn't think he should go overseas, but I must admit to you, ladies and gentlemen, I was wrong. And the reception that he received on the part of the United States was exceptional. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. And I give them full credit. I give Rex Tillerson, the Secret Service, and all the other individuals who were involved full credit. And I want to thank our First Lady and Ivanka Trump and all the ladies who were involved on behalf of the United States for not wearing a hijab. And I want to thank the Saudis for allowing our president to dance with him in the sword dance, which is a very unusual but sophisticated dance. Now I want to bring you to something a little bit more serious. It's been reported in the New York Times, of course, but I think it's pretty accurate, that 10 to 12 years ago, between the years 2010 and 2012, we, the United States, lost about 18 to 20 sources in China. Now that's a pretty serious self-incrimination on the part of the CIA. Now, many of you know I was trained by the CIA at the MIT Political Science Department at the John McCone Center, and I've always been grateful to the CIA. I've always worked with them and against them, but I've had a very respectful relationship with them, and overall I like them as a group of individuals. However, sometimes I would like to criticize them, and sometimes they often criticize me, so it's a back and forth that goes on. In this particular case, I found it very, very bizarre that the CIA admitted to their own faults between the years 2010 and 2012 that they in fact lost or had killed 20 sources in China. Now, as an operative, this is what I usually do, and you people can follow me. I looked at the year 2010, and then I matched that with President Xi Jinping's position in the hierarchy of the Communist Party. At that time in 2010, he was the vice minister of the military commission in the Communist Party. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means he was the man in charge of intelligence, military, and counterintelligence. So in effect, he got rid of many of the CIA sources that we had to depend on in order to understand what happened to China. But is that completely correct? Now, putting on my counterintelligence hat, this is what I had to come through and figure out, what I call paradoxical intention. What's always obvious to the eye and to the CIA is not always obvious to counterintelligence operatives who work all around the world. The first question was, why did the CIA have to admit today that they made a mistake between 2010 and 2012? Well, we have to go back to President Xi Jinping's ascendancy. He, as I said, came up through the Cultural Revolution. His family was humiliated in the Cultural Revolution by Mao Zedong, and he never forgot that. He never forgot how humiliated his father was, his mother, and he was. And then he began to ascend the communist ladder as what we call the princeling of the Communist Party, eventually achieving the highest position, which is the premier or president or whatever you want to call it, chief executive of China. Now, he achieved that in 2012. At the same time, in 2010, his daughter, whom I will not name, was quietly seconded to Harvard. She became a Harvard student under another name, and she had to have done that with the CIA permission, the State Department, President Obama, and a lot of other people. And I congratulate them for allowing the president of China's daughter to become a very good student at Harvard. The key aspect, though, was why does the CIA have to admit today that they had lost assets in 2010, just at the time when President Xi was becoming the president of China? And the answer, my friends, is that those who look at the obvious sometimes see the obvious. The point of fact is that the CIA may have had the most important asset of all was President Xi himself. If I'm correct, that means the CIA has to rethink their counterintelligence and their intelligence capacity, particularly in the psychological field and particularly in human. If I'm incorrect, then I'm incorrect. But the point of fact is the CIA never admits to a failure unless there's another hidden agenda. And as the Chinese say, and I have to look down to quote this, Guo Jianxi, which means melon field under plum tree, or in English, it means act suspiciously, don't draw attention to yourself. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. America, and good luck. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pieczenik. This is Steve Talks.